All right, we are back, and I believe that this time, minus the technical difficulties, we are good. Um, let's take a walk with your boy Mike Robinson. I have the Kellys on, and we're gonna pick up where we kind of left off. I believe Corinthians, you were speaking.
Yep. So, again, currently work as an outreach manager at Wichita State University. Work with adults that are interested in going back to school, and I love what I do. I love helping people. So, just happy to be here and take this walk with you.
Awesome. Okay, kicking it with the Kellys. What is that? What is it? Where did it come from? Um, tell us about it.
Um, Honestly, Mike. Oh, and I think the order has switched a little bit. I'm looking at it right now, so I'll let Corinth go ahead on.
No. Go ahead, Arthur. No, we will say, no. Nah, go ahead. Eldest first.
Eldest first. Well, Mike. That's a very good question, and honestly, it came from my hearts.
Hmm.
One thing I can say, as a communications major in school, I came into Old Dominion as a music major, but communications is what I ended with, more side of the communication mass comm. I was looking at public relations, and I
Hmm.
always felt that, I had a message. I wasn't computer savvy, or I didn't know much about marketing, but the pandemic was kind of like a blessing and a curse. One,
Hmm.
March 13th was the last day I had stepped foot in the school that I work at. So
Oh
March
wow.
13th of 2020 was the last day I had been in a physical building for work. And during that time, a lot of things happened. Obviously, the pandemic, but then something happened with the George Floyd incident. And that kind of just shook me at my core. And a
Right.
lot of the things that me and my brother had been talking about kind of came to fruition. So we just said, hey, let's go ahead on and do it. Let's start this podcast, and kicking it with the Kelly started from there. And I'm happy that we were able to um, put it on the ground running, because a lot of times, you can say that you want to do something, but then something else happens and something gets in your
Right.
way. But this time we were able to say, hey, we're going to do it. We're going to put it out there, and we are here today.
Yeah. Um, I would add to that, Mike. The seeds for kicking it with the Kellys were planted years ago. So I'll give the example. Um, my brother was attending. Actually, all of my siblings went to Old Dominion University, and I was attending. I went to Virginia Tech, and me and Arthur used to talk on the phone back in college, and this is back in 2004, between 2004 2007 8, back during that time. And we used to be on the phone talking about, at the time, Geno Jennings. We would have conversations about current events, all that kind
Hmm.
of stuff back then. Great conversations uh, carried throughout, our adulthood. Uh, but now, COVID presented us with the opportunity to let a larger platform in, into some of those candid conversations that we've had. So I love the opportunity. So COVID has presented us with the opportunity, that we took, and hit the ground running with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really when I watch kicking it with the Kellys, I was just gonna say it really gives off the vibe of you guys are just having public conversation. Like this,
Yeah.
that's the only difference. Now it's public. Like everybody's watching you guys have conversations that you already have, that you would have if there was no Facebook, if there was no Facebook Live. These are conversations that you guys would already have, and so that's what makes it so authentic to me. It's not contrived. It's not anything that you guys are racking your brain trying to figure out, oh, what are we going to do this week? What are we going to talk about? You know what I mean? It's very fluid. So I noticed that, watching the show.
Thank you.
Um, you mentioned some of the current events that have been going on, this past year and a half, 2 years. Um, I'm just gonna jump right in. Uh, I was watching a like an interview last night. Gail was interviewing Chris Rock on BET last night,
So,
and she asked the question about race relations, and Chris Rock said, "Is there really a such thing?
mhm.
Do you believe that there's really a such thing as race relations?" Because and the reason why I asked that is like, okay, you're gonna tell me I'm a white man. Can I really? I'm a white man from the suburbs. I my both my parents are still together. They have flourishing careers. I've
Mhm.
never had an empty stomach. I've never wondered where my next meal was coming from. I always had presents under the tree. Um, every game, every honor roll ceremony, every situation, one or both of my parents were always there.
Yeah.
Um, I pretty much had, I pretty much had a cake life. Is it really reasonable for to believe that I can actually ever relate to you?
Go ahead. You next in line, correct?
Oh, all right, all right. So Mike, I'll take that question. It's a great question, but I'll first say you can't have relations without first having relationship. Okay,
Right.
so when I think of that, I think about what have we heard about other people, and what do we know for a fact through lived experience. So
Hmm.
on TV, um, you can be promoted a lot of images about any and everyone. You can get on TV and you can form a opinion about people in North Korea, for example, and you don't know them. Chinese people, you don't know them. You know, just by just by what's presented with you on media. Relationship is something deeper. All right, relationship means you've interacted with this person, you know this person, you've seen this person, you've worked with this person, and then if you're shaping your relationship based off of that, to me, it's far deeper, and that's what we want to be getting to. So
Hmm.
when I think about race relations, I think about what is the where's the opportunity for the authentic relationship building that's necessary. So
Hmm.
if I'm from the suburbs, all right, what do I have in common with an inner city person if I'm not near them, proximate to them, interact with them? You see what I'm saying? So I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
I used to live and work in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, I would say Newport News is kind of a suburb, military town, blue collar town, things like that. All right. I was working in Baltimore in the inner city. I'm black. I'm a black male working in Baltimore inner city, and it was a different reality from what I was used to. In Baltimore, it was row houses. Baltimore was the first place I actually seen rats. And there's a difference between a mouse and a rat. They're they're
Yeah,
they're they're
it's
two
huge
they're
difference.
two different things.
Right.
So
Right.
so the point I'm trying to make is I had to be working alongside the young people, from Baltimore to really build a relationship with them. And I think that's important. It goes across the board.
Wow. Okay. Well, Corinthian already broke it down to the pretty much the lowest common denominator when he broke down, the word race relations, and you have to have a relationship. But we're all part of the human race, so we have to find the commonality in us. And my example that I can give as a basketball coach, you know, um, it's very common for African American athletes to be playing basketball, and
Mhm.
then uh, within our Hampton Roads area per se, you also have white counterparts that play basketball too. Well, when we have AAU tournaments, we all have to play together, and you can see the commonality that we all love the sport, we love the game. Our families come to support us. So with if we're going to deal with race relations, we have to see what do we have in common, and a lot of things can separate us, and
Right.
that's where that term, the other side of the railroad tracks, come from, right? That railroad track separates uh, people, and I'm just using the railroad track, but because a lot of things can separate us. So the zoning lines that we have, that the city posed on redlining and everything, other things that can separate us, where we worship, religion separates us. But we all have to find out that, we all do the same thing. We are born, we bleed,
Right.
and then we die. So
Right.
we have
Right.
a lot more in common than what separates us. But a lot of times we use those separators as the end all be all to to dis- extinguish those relationships that we can't have. So I think the person that hasn't experienced the rats in the subway um, cannot deny that they're there.
Wow. Wow.
So we when Corinthians said relationship, we got to get back to the relationship of the whole matter, that we have a lot more in common than what you think.
Wow. Let me go back for a second. Kicking it with the Kellys. What's the overall? What's the overall? What's the point? Why do you do it?
Go ahead, Arthur. Go ahead.
Mike, when you characterized our show as far as we're having a conversation in front of the public needs these conversations.
Hmm.
And the point is that we have something to say, and we want to show that there are black males, young professionals that care about issues that other people care about. We're not just in it for ourselves. We want to talk about issues that go for the person that lives in the suburbs, the person that lives in Park Place, the person that lives in Aqua Vista. That's what we want to talk about. Aqueduct. We want to talk about these issues that can span throughout the country and go beyond the country. And that's what we were talking about, the relationships. We got to stop letting all these things separate us, and we can come together on a lot of things. I want people to understand how I think, and I want to voice it, and I want to hear from you and how you think, and that I think that's where we can build and grow. And I think that's what Kicking with the Kellys provide.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I would also add to that point. I feel like organically we want a safe place where people that don't look like me and my brother feel comfortable to come in and share their ideas, their viewpoints, their lived experiences, because I feel like that's how you learn. All right, you learn by talking to people with diverse opinions, diverse
Right.
experiences, diverse backgrounds, and it makes you stronger for it. All right. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, so I really like that our platform. Um, Hopefully, people feel that it provides a space where I don't care what color you are, you can come in, you can listen, you can contribute, you can give your own perspective and your feedback. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Do you find? Do you find? Like we just talked about race relations and things of that nature. Do you find that doing? kicking it with the Kellys and some of the issues that you discuss and some of the subjects that you go over, or whatever. Do you ever feel like um, there may be a time where you have to kind of like, and this is gonna sound funny, maybe dull your moral blade in order to um, in order to be welcoming to those who may have differing opinions, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Correct.
All right. So I'm gonna start off by saying, Mike,
See,
I say
Mike,
on the
you gonna
show,
get us in trouble because that
on
Corinthian,
the show. All
we
right.
might not want to switch our spots. You might want
Okay.
him to go last.
All right. All right, Mike. I'm gonna tell you, your viewing audience, everyone on our
Okay.
platform,
Okay.
unapologetically black. Okay. I say what I say with no equivocation, because I'm basing it off of lived experience, or I'm trying to pull out the facts, the historical facts of what happened. Now, um, to me, the truth is like medicine. All right. Nobody necessarily like medicine because it don't taste good. And I'll give
Right.
that example because, having asthma, I used to have to take Trimedic cough syrup, and
Traumatic.
that's the nastiest stuff you could ever taste. All right. But it makes you
Right.
feel better. And to me, the truth is like disinfected. All right. The truth
Hmm.
cuts across, race barriers, and things like that. So um, I personally believe that there's two reactions, and I don't care who they are when they hear the truth: black, white, brown, red, yellow. When you hear the truth, you can do two things. All right, it either pricks you in your heart, like the Bible says, and you want to change, or you gnash your teeth and you want to kill the messenger. That's
Wow.
how I break it down. All right,
Yeah.
and I'll point to the Bible because it says that there. So I no longer get concerned about, if people don't like hearing the truth. I just want to hear the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, regardless of what your skin color is. I don't want to pull no punches, cut no corners to that. So I say that to say I don't feel like when you're telling the truth, you don't have to blunt it. You don't have to mute it. You don't have
Yeah.
to you don't have to do any kind of sensitivity. People that love the truth are gonna say amen to
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
See, Mike, I told you probably wanted him to go last.
it.
Hey, uh, but I would say, we're grassroots. We're in this together, Mike. We're grassroots, and we're just starting out. I think we've uh, probably close to 10 episodes now on our show, but we've had a very diverse audience. We've had Hispanic, we've had white, we've had black, we've had middle age, we've had older, we have had younger, we've had biracial couples. I mean, we've had Republican, Democrat. We've had
Mhm.
some, I believe, atheists, some believers on that have commented. So we're speaking to a diverse group, but that's and one thing that me and Quentin said in our show. If you don't like what we say, I mean, we can't help you there because we're speaking from our experience. But I will say sometimes I do get a little self conscious about am I going to offend anyone? But
Mhm.
Corinthian just kind of highlighted that you have to speak your truth. You have to speak your truth, and the chips will fall where they may. But you have to speak your truth and be true to yourself.
So we're kicking it. So we're kicking it with the Kellys. Who is this show most like? Is it is this something that's more Corinthians and he's just kind of bringing Arthur along, or is this something that's something that Arthur would do and he's just bringing Corinthians along?
Hey, well, you know how in the scriptures you had Moses. Now Moses got he was living to the burning bush, and God called him to go, but Moses had a speaking problem. He stuttered and everything. He couldn't get all his words together that he wanted to really say. But
Yeah.
Aaron was a statesman. I mean, he could talk. He could talk the talk. He knew all the lingo. He knew all the language. He knew all the ins and outs. And I would have to say this is like a Moses and Aaron situation. That what I can't voice, Corinthians sure can, and vice versa.
I'll add to that. I'll add to that, Mike. I'll add to that, Mike. My brother Arthur, uh, is an activator. Along with being a great communicator, he's an activator. So if kicking it with the Kellys was left up to me to start it, we wouldn't have started for another 6 months. Arthur called me on a
Oh,
Saturday.
really?
Arthur called me on a Saturday, um, a couple months ago and said, "Hey, look, let's get on in 15 minutes. Go change your shirt and let's get on." And that's what started it. So what I'll say is Arthur was the activator pushing that along because he knew the conversations that we were having were quality, introspective. It was great content to get out there. So if it was up to me, I'm a thinker, and you can almost do have paralysis by analysis, thinking about stuff and how this is going to sound over. But you need that
Hmm.
person pushing the ball, moving the ball forward and say, "Hey, look, let's just do it," and the chips will fall where they're meant. So I think it's been a good balance.
Okay. So, what role has your family played in what you guys are doing? Is this something that they're supportive of? Do they influence it in any way?
Oh yeah, wow. Grant, or you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so it's as far as siblings, it's four of us. We have an older brother, Daryl, and again, shout out to
Mhm.
Daryl. He just celebrated his birthday the other
Yeah.
day, and then we have a younger sister, Veronica, whose
Mhm.
birthday is actually on the 7th. So happy early birthday to you. And then our mom and dad, uh, Daryl, Hassan, and Barbara Kelly, and they log onto our show pretty much all the time. My parents do. They try
Mhm.
not to miss the show. Veronica, she's more on the she doesn't do the social media aspect.
Yeah.
Daryl actually will be on joining us pretty soon. Daryl is a whole nother beast in itself. He and when y'all see him, you'll see the full effect of the Kelly family. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But I would say the show, the inspiration from the show, a lot of what we talk about, a lot of how our views, philosophies, and things were formed is based off of our upbringing.
Mhm.
Um, Arthur said it a little earlier, but we grew up in Ward Lines, in Newport News, Virginia, Timberwoods, and me and my older brothers, we slept three to a room. So it get no closer than that. Um, I said that to say we've always been a tight knit family. I would say close,
Mhm.
and I think you see that, and it's organic, it's natural, um, and that's really shaped a lot of things that we do. Um, I like to say that my siblings, my family, my parents, our extended family, my sister in loves and things like that. We're our biggest, my nieces and nephews. We're our biggest cheerleaders. So I love I, my family loves to see me doing well. I love to see my family doing well. Um, we boost each other, and that's important. So I think that's a current that you'll see throughout the show.
Oh, and Mike, I just want to say, and one more shout out to Akia, who is on the show now, and that's a testament of her support. She doesn't miss a show. She's our biggest fan, so I love you, honey, for supporting us.
Set yourself up for success, sir. Set yourself up for
Yeah.
success. Um,
Yeah.
well, I mean, you both are very educated. Um, you've gone to, you know, prestigious universities, and you've gotten um, degrees, and you're highly educated. Um, how does that play a role in what you're doing now? Like, how important has education been? And do you find that you've been more educated through the process of being educated, or actually being educated in the conventional sense?
Go ahead, Arthur.
Well, with the education, it definitely starts from our parents.
Hmm.
Um, Again, we keep on reverting that we grew up in Work Lawns, Timberwoods, which was a uh, townhome community, but there were different pockets within that townhome community. Everybody was renting, no one owned.
Hmm.
Uh, and then you had some that received TANF, some that might have been Section 8, I'm not sure, but a lot of free or reduced lunch in that population. But my parents
Hmm.
were educated, and my mom went to Virginia State, became a teacher. My dad went to UNC Chapel Hill. Um,
Hmm.
Unfortunately for my dad, and we did a piece on our segment about mental illness. Unfortunately for my dad, he suffers manic depressant,
Hmm.
so bipolar, and he has battled that throughout, his life. So as far as jobs and situations, he could, it was always unstable.
Hmm.
So we grew up poor, but we had the foundation of education, starting with our grandparents, our parents. They pushed
Hmm.
as my granddad would bring us in the room and say, let's do some math problems. My mom would talk about who is the president, what are the states, the capitals. We had this growing up. And one thing I would say is, I don't want to say that they said that you have to go to college, because they didn't say that, but their example is what we followed as
Right.
far as going to school. I'm not telling anyone that they have to go to college to be successful or to be educated. But I'm saying our family unit, we did what the family did. And our family, they went to college. So all of us, we have a family of six, all are college graduates.
Mm.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
to that point, I would say that it's a cliche term, but it's true. Knowledge is power. Okay,
Hmm.
um, knowledge is true power. Uh, I think that having the opportunity to go off to college, one exposed me to things. I think exposure is very important. Um, when that statement, when you know better, you do better. So going off to college, I'm not only exposed to different people, different cultures. Now I'm in class with people from Africa. Now I'm in class with people from Asia, Europe. So learning and growing in that way, I think is important. But the genesis of that was exposure. Our mom had us in summer programs for as long as I can remember. Um, so by being in those programs, we're now placed on college campuses. So that plants the seed that
Hmm.
those things are attainable. And I think that's so important in general. When you're talking to young people about knowledge and college, they have to have some kind of frame of reference for it. All right. They have to, in my opinion, you have to see it to know that it's attainable. You got to know, it's one thing to say college. It's another thing to have been on a college campus and know that, wow, there are buildings here. There are professors here. There are institutions of higher learning here. And I think that was pivotal for us. We spent many a summer on Hampton University's campus. And I'm gonna be honest, when I saw, the fine students, ladies that was on Hampton's campus, I said I'm going to college. So, so that planted a seed for me.
That and what you said was so important. To your point about creating um, a healthy narrative going forward for
Mm,
those that come behind you. I mean, you didn't say those exact words, but I'm kind of like
I
paraphrasing. But
love it. I love
like
your words.
you're coming and and that's kind of like the meat of this show. Like the people that I have on, my goal is to show somebody who may be unfamiliar with a certain thing and see that it exists. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, because like traditionally, as men of color, especially men of color, we're kind of pigeonholed into sports, music, entertainment,
Yeah.
and if you can't do that, then there's a drop off. Then you become custodians, and not that there's anything wrong with that,
Yeah,
but
Right.
there it's in other words, there's a you're put in a box.
yeah,
Right.
But like this show, it's my hope that there's more that gives people more of a broader mind and a
I
broader
love it.
understanding that life is bigger than
I
what
love
they
it.
see out their respective windows. You know what I'm saying? And so, like when Corinthian, when you said that, that really struck a chord because that's like I said, that is really one of the main goals of Let's Take a Walk and being educated, being on a college campus, understanding, being in rooms with people from not only other communities but other countries. That is so
Mhm.
dope and it's important, especially now. Like I've seen like in the last couple of years and these last 2 years or whatever, year and a half, 2 years, that never before have people had to definitively take a side.
mm,
Whatever it is that you stand for, you got to stand for it now. This
Yeah.
is the time that you stand for
Yeah.
it. if
Yeah.
if you're for certain rights, then you got to stand for it. If you're for black rights, then you stand. This is the time, unlike any other time, that you have to kind of like draw that line in the sand. But a lot of people, I feel, are unsure because, like you said, they haven't seen possibility. So they're kind of like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And then I know that you guys are, as I am, are spiritual men. You know what I mean? We go to church, we love God, we're Christians, and you may not agree, but I feel like traditionally the church has been kind of geared towards being overly neutral. Like we'll watch something go down and we'll stand in the corner and pray about it, but rarely do we come in the middle of it to say, okay, hey, what's going on? Who said what? Who did what? Blah blah blah. But we'll stand in the corner and we'll pray about it and we'll say, hey, whatever's going on over there, God, you touch it. God, you bless it. God, you heal it. God,
Yeah.
you fix it. God, you repair it.
Yeah.
And I think that in this season, I think that we've been pushed. God has been trying to push us more to kind of like gain context and understanding of actually our surroundings and our life and why people do what they do in order for us to find what our actual destiny and plan in life is. And so,
Right.
not to talk y'all to death, but that
Oh, you
really
good.
struck a chord. That really struck a chord with me. But back to the back to our talk.
Hey, is
Um,
this your initial sermon? This your initial
Come
sermon?
on, Doc. Come on, Doc.
see,
well,
I'm
well, well,
trying not to.
well, let me
Go
let
ahead.
me let me let me let me add to that. You know, when you were saying picking a side, you know, well, the scripture already has gave the blueprint. If God be God, serve him. If Baal be God, serve him.
Hmm.
So
Right.
we but it reminded me of a story, that I heard. Someone said it's in the scriptures. I haven't found it yet, but we'll see. Um, where somebody was, praying, for, salvation or some help. They were stuck on a house and they were praying to God. They said, God, come save me. Well, somebody in a rowboat came, it had flooded and they were stuck on the house. Somebody in a rowboat came and they said, hey, you need to come on, climb on. I'm here to help you. And he said, no, I'm waiting for God. And then
Hmm.
somebody in somebody on a in a bigger boat came in, and he said, "No, I'm waiting for God." And then somebody in a helicopter came and said, "Come on, you climb up the ladder." So he said, "No, I'm waiting for God." Well, came down to it, all those three people left, and then the person was yet talking to God, and he said, "God, I thought you were going to save me." And God said, "I sent you the person on the rowboat. I sent you the person in the bigger boat. I sent you the person in the helicopter. I
Right.
did." So, we have to come, we have the answers here. Now the answer is already here. Now we gotta, like you said, we gotta pick that side, a
Hmm.
moral conscience of, what's right and what's wrong. Whether it be political or whether it be mental health, physical, anything like that, everything that's going on in this world, we got to get to decide to say, okay, no, they're going on the wrong path. I'm going here. I have to speak up. I can't just let somebody else now speak for me. The plan is already made. So I thank you for that point. It gave me some ideas of things to talk about in future.
So, all right. um, I I love how you said now more than ever it's time to pick a side, and I'll say the side I, it's right or wrong. Okay,
Hmm.
it's a right way to do stuff and it's a wrong way to do stuff. So if you want to go into Christianity and religion, all right, this country says that it's a Christian nation. All right, now under that banner of Christianity, it was people enslaved for over 240 years under the banner of being a Christian, a good Christian. All right, I don't think that was right. All right, there are people. They're it's condoned a lot of things that I would say is wrong. So there's a distinction uh, that has to be made. I think now we can't be passive when we see wrong in front of us. To me, if I'm a good Christian and I see something, a person being wrong, black, white, red, yellow, um, and I'm saying I'm a Christian, I'm compelled to act. I can't stand by and see it. It can't happen. So um, when I look at it from that perspective, we are at a pivotal time. Okay,
Yeah.
so if 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 you're standing for something, it compels action. All right,
Hmm.
that means if we have so many Christians that this country was just founded on, a lot of things that happened couldn't have happened. So it
Right.
just tells me that you can say that and not really be acting it. So I want to be one that not only says it, but my actions kind of back that up.
Okay. We're gonna lighten the mood a little bit. We're gonna
Okay.
shift gears. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. You guys are brothers. Y'all been brothers for a long time, right?
Right.
And I'm sure that you guys are quite fond of each other. and I'm quite sure that you shared a lot of experiences together, good and bad. And as a result of that, there are certain understandings that you guys have towards one another. So I'm gonna ask you guys a question. I'm play a kind of a play a game with you like called who's most likely.
Okay.
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 So I'm gonna ask you a few questions and I'm gonna say who's most likely to do this? Who's most likely to do that? Okay, first question. Who's most likely to get the
Corinthian.
A?
No, let me not. Okay, my bad.
Gro- Y'all are crazy. Growing up, who's most likely to get who's most likely to get an A?
Corinthian. Yeah, yeah.
Why is that?
He's pretty much he's a genius, man. No, Corinthian pretty much got straight A's in school, so yeah, he's most likely.
Okay. Who's most likely to get the girl?
Oh, Arthur. Arthur by listen. Listen. It's one thing, when you were me and Arthur are 15 months apart. So
Okay.
we're a year away in terms of grade. So when I was in 10th grade, he was in 11th. And I remember we were in a summer camp together, and you could talk to the people that are in the camp, that are our age, the teenagers. And then they had the college counselors. And Arthur was talking to he was talking to the college counselors in high school. I'm talking on the phone, like I heard it. so Arthur has always been Arthur has always been charismatic. Has a great personality, and confidence as well. So I mean, yeah, Arthur's most likely to get the girl, and he got a
Okay.
great one in the kid. I'll say that.
Yeah, good save, good save.
Yeah,
Because I know Arthur was like,
it's coming.
I know in his mind he was like,
I
Rent,
know.
chill, chill,
Y'all
chill,
know
chill.
I
Look,
said, hey, look,
you
staying
know,
quiet
you
the
gotta know
whole
your brother.
segment.
You gotta know your brother. Yep. Yep. You gotta know.
Right, right. Arthur was like, chill, 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 chill. Like if you guys, if you probably have a bruise on your hip right now if y'all was sitting in the same.
Listen, I'm telling you, this was about to be me right here. This was about to be me. I'm telling you,
Right, right.
real dark thing.
Okay. Who's most likely to read the directions?
Ooh, that wow. I'm gonna have to say Corinthian. I'm gonna have to say Corinthian, but I would probably say both of us. But Corinthian would read the if whenever he has helped me put something together, he's the one that grabs the directions and start reading them. So I would have to say Corinthian.
I
Okay.
would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
Who's most likely to call their mama when they got an issue?
I would say me. I would say me. I'll give me that one. I'll give me that one.
Yeah,
I would give me
yeah,
that one.
I would agree.
Um, who's most likely to lose it?
That's Arthur.
Well, I'll just I think about when they backed up into in my car. I chased them the Penske truck. We were on the interstate. We had pulled over, and I chased them down in my car. No,
Wow.
but
He
Corinthian
did. No, he did.
was the the
He
level
did.
head. But I would say, yeah, I don't put up with. I put up with stuff, but I have a breaking point. Yeah, I have a breaking
Who's most likely to? This is the last one. Who's most likely to give it to him straight?
I would say both. I would say both of us,
That's a tie.
honestly. Yeah, I would say
Huh?
Yeah,
both of us, honestly.
it's
Yeah.
a tie. Yeah, I
So
would agree with
so
that.
so neither one of you. Who's most likely to be politically correct? Like who's gonna choose their words? Like who's gonna
We
say who's gonna say you suck, and who's gonna say maybe you need to work on that a little bit before you.
When you phrase it as far as who's going to choose their words, I think that we would both choose our words uh,
Mhm.
to be. Uh, honestly, I would have to say it's a tie for us with that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put
Um.
this caveat in it, Mike.
Okay.
Arthur's gonna make it sound better though. Yeah, Arthur's gonna make it sound better. I
Okay.
would say I would say this. Arthur is probably one of the best public speakers that I've heard, and I've known this since high school. Like I saw my brother do a speech, and Arthur wrote this speech on a napkin like 15 minutes before, and it was
Wow.
phenomenal. Like
Wow.
where the high school kids was coming after him and saying that was a great speech, and you got to think this high school where people are so blah about stuff they hear. So yeah,
Mhm.
Arthur's gonna make it sound good.
Um. We've seen we kind of touched on it. We've seen a pandemic. We're in the midst of a pandemic. We've seen social injustice. We've seen political upheaval where you have a president who literally refuses to leave office. Um, and we see all these things going on seemingly at the same time, and sometimes it can really scatter your brain if you allow it to. Um, has everything how has everything that's gone on, how has it changed, or has it changed how you operate, just how you move, how you do business, how you relate to other people? Do you see changes in yourself that um probably was that you didn't see prior to? Like, do you notice things about yourself since this thing jumped off? What, and if you have, like, what's the most pronounced thing that you've learned about yourself that maybe you didn't know maybe a year and a half ago?
Correct.
um, so I'll say with the confluence of everything that has been going on, like you said, the pandemic, political unrest, economic problems, all those things that you named. I would say for me, um, my filter has developed more in that time. So my filter, where I get information, what I view as credible, what I view as critical, what I view as important, uh, has been honed and more fine tuned. So when I'm interacting with
Hmm.
others, I'm coming at it from an analytical um, place where I'm taking emotion out of it. So, for example,
Hmm.
if Donald Trump wanted to tie himself to the White House and stay in there, I'm not feeling that I need to go to Washington D.C. to take him out. That's not
Mm,
what happens in Washington does not affect my day to day, in my opinion, or how I view or treat others. I have to view and treat others
okay.
the same way I want to be treated. Okay, regardless of a person, Republican, Democrat, Independent, etc. So what I'm saying is, right now we're in a very heightened emotional state, and it doesn't, what's going on doesn't make me react where I see a lot of people are reacting. What's going on now makes me respond. So it's calculated. I it's certain stuff that I tune into, is other stuff that I let go. Um, so
Uh, for me, as I indicated earlier, March 13th, Friday the 13th, was a turning point in how I think I operate. I was already a busy guy, coaching basketball, work and everything. Coaching varsity and then AAU, and but the pandemic put everything in perspective for me. Obviously, my wife is a nurse. She was essential personnel. She had to go into work. I had to be home with the boys, and I had to do some things different. I had to operate totally different. And what sometimes can get people down, or can you know mess people up. This pandemic actually helped my marriage. It helped me as a
Mm,
father, uh, and so
mm,
I there's three P's that I use in everything now. I try to stay positive in everything. I try to be productive in everything I do, and I'm always willing to change my perspective on something. I can't be so hard up on an idea that I had if there's a better way to do it. So it's always working smarter, not harder kind of concept. So this pandemic and everything has allowed me to change my perspective on things. There were things that Corinthian and Daryl were telling me that I needed to do or to get involved with, that I was saying, no, not now. But the pandemic allowed me to, do those things. And that's one of the big reasons why we started with Kicking with the Kellys, because I said, I'm going to stop talking about it and I'm going to be about it.
wow. That's pretty much the same vein that that I was in. I'm gonna tell you in the beginning, when especially you feel like I was just really kind of get wrapping my mind around this
Mm,
whole pandemic thing, and
hmm.
then George Floyd happens, and then I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, come on, God. So
yeah.
it's like I have two sons. You know what I'm saying? I have a 2-year-old son, Boom. Shout out to Boom, Mike.
Like Mike.
But I also have a 24-year-old son, and
Mm,
so look at that dynamic between the two, and it's like, what am I supposed to tell them? You know what I'm saying? Because you can
right.
tell you tell your kids, hey, if you get stopped by the cop, be respectful, blah blah blah. But as we've seen, people have been respectful, and they
And
still
still,
instilled it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I'm sitting there and
yeah.
thinking, but I heard something the other day that kind of like it kind of blew me away. I think it might have been Bishop Jakes, TD Jakes. He said that fire is a unique element because it has the ability to melt and harden. So
Mm,
it's the fire reveals what the state of the thing that it's touching, I guess, for a lack of a better word.
right.
So am I a candle
Mm,
or am I cement? You know what I'm saying? Or something that's hardened through heat. And fire and heat are the only elements that have those abilities to melt or harden. You know what I mean? And so
hmm.
so like what are you? Are you wax? You know what I'm saying? Or are you metal or cement or steel? Whatever, whatever you can harden with, with fire. And so it really kind of put me in a position to kind of take stock of everything that I was doing. And just like you said, it was like this was something that I wanted to do, but I didn't feel like I was equipped to do it,
Yeah,
or for
yeah,
whatever reason. Maybe I didn't speak well enough, or maybe people wouldn't be interested in anything that I would have to say or whatever. But through this pandemic, I realized that we can't take anything for granted, and
nope.
there's nothing that, you know, if we're God is leading us in it, and this is the vision that He continuously given us, then He's going to provide the audience. He's going to provide the resource. He's going to provide the information and the subjects that we talk on. And so here we are. And so, make a long story short, that's kind of where I was at as far as this whole pandemic thing. um, we got a few minutes
Yeah.
left. I got just a couple more questions
Oh,
for
you
you.
good, man?
What would you say? And this is a question for both of you guys. What would you say is the most? What's the biggest misconception about the two of you that people have about you, or that you found that people have about
Um, for me, I'm gonna say is biggest misconception is I'm definitely not perfect.
you? Hmm.
Sometimes, growing up where, you don't curse, because I just found that I could use other words instead of curse words.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't necessarily like the taste of alcohol. I have drunk, but I don't like the taste.
Hmm.
I didn't do certain things that some of my friends did. Maybe because we were covered. We had a praying mom. We grew up in that household. But sometimes it gives you the misconception that this person is perfect or they're trying to be perfect. So I would say the biggest misconception is that I have everything together. I don't. I have to go to the bathroom just like you. Uh,
Right.
I peed in my bed growing up. I used to suck my thumb. So I have the same. It's just one thing is I try to manage my life in a way that one there can be some glory given, and that I reflect back on my parents who raised me, to do the right thing. And I think the scriptures talk about train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they won't
It won't
part from
hurt.
it. So a lot of people say, well, a lot of parents did train up their children in great ways. They didn't turn out too well. But the thing is that word is train up in a child in the way that they should go, and the should has to come from the word of God. So
Mhm.
I believe that our parents did raise us right, and we fall just like anybody. So I just want to tell everybody I'm not perfect. I don't have it all together. I'm a work in progress, but I'm trying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, that was man. Can I copy paste your whole answer? Because
Hey, you trying to do a Melania Trump?
look, what I'll add to that, I know for me, um, my fear of failure drives me, or
Mhm.
pushes me. So I think to Arthur's point, some people from the outside looking in, some people sometimes have the misconception that you have everything figured out, you have everything together, and that's never the case. I feel like we're all works in progress. My goal is to be better, um, you know, better than the day before. That's my goal, as well as making progress, not perfection. So I'm not a perfectionist. I'm willing to learn, and I actually, honestly, without these kind of platforms, my normal state is to sit somewhere and just listen and observe.
Yeah.
I'm the person that would sit in a room in the corner and be fine, not having to say anything. But I'm listening to what other people are saying because you know I like to check it and see if I can use that later on, or if I won't use it. So yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Um, this is a question that I ask most of my guests. Well, all of them actually.
Okay.
Um, so when I ask it, I just want you guys to take a moment, think about it, and just give me the most honest answer. That you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to ask you one more question.
Okay.
Well, again, I'm going to go back to everything that's been going on, and we hear a word that's said a lot by different people, by politicians, by entertainers, by people, and that word is real. Keep it real. I'm just keeping it real. I'm just trying to be real. Um, for real. This is what I'm just saying this because, I'm real. I'm a real. What, me. What is, what is real? What is real to you? Like, what does that mean? What does that mean to really to be real when you hear that?
Mhm.
How do you see, like, in regards to yourself, like just thinking, like, what is real? Like,
Oh, wow. Okay. This the hardball section. Hardball section. The hard.
we gotta end it. We gotta end it out with a bang. You know what I mean? We kind of went on this roller coaster.
Grant, you can go first if you want.
All right. So I'll um I'll use my realness test then. All right. In the scripture it says, by their fruit you shall know them. So that's my metric on realness. So you can say to me anything, but your fruit has to bear what you're saying out. So that's my realness. If anyone is um, I would want anyone inspecting me to base it off of my fruit. um, I would want them to go away thinking that I'm genuine, that in my heart is to help folks, and I would hope that my fruit bears that out. So my realness test is all right. They're saying some good stuff, but what is their fruit, their track record, their history of doing X, Y, and Z, what they saying they doing year in and year out.
Mhm.
So I'll frame it in that light.
Okay.
Uh, I want to say this because when you say real, a lot of times, that phrase, be real with me. You're not real. Like you hear a lot of
Yeah,
it. Hey, come on, be real, Misty Kelly. Be real.
yeah,
Real is telling you the truth about yourself. Um, and it's not the stereotypical thing of not all black, males, are in jail. That's real. Not all black males were raised by a single parent. Not all black males, uh, only have a high school education. There are black males that live with both parents in their household. There are black males that were raised in the church. There are black males that drink. There are black males that don't smoke weed. There are
right.
black males. So I'm gonna be as real. I'm I'm trying to be the realest person I can be. And Corinthian just said it has to be by my example. That's the only way I can be real. So not the stereotypical thing of, tell it to me like I want to hear it or in the times. Not all black males listen to rap music. Not all black, it's one of those things that I'm gonna be real with you. And I think if we start to be real with ourselves, not all, black people, um, don't disbelieve the Bible. There are a lot of people that believe
Right.
actually what it really says.
Yeah.
And that there's a heaven and hell, and then people are gonna go to heaven, people are
Right.
going to
Right.
hell.
Right.
So that's the realest I can be. And I think it's like we just say we're unapologetically black, and our life's experiences put us in a lot of different categories, but we have a lot of commonalities with everyone. So that's the realest I can be. So when somebody asks me a question, I'm going to be real and tell them the truth.
True. Okay. It's awesome. Okay. This is the last question, guys. This
All
is it.
right, all right.
You guys, you made it. Okay. This is a question that I ask all my guests. And I find it interesting because the answers are never the same. Some people, everybody has something different to say.
Okay.
But when I ask this question, I want you guys to take a moment and think about it and then answer it as real as you possibly can.
There we go.
and we're gonna go from there. Okay, here's the question, guys. What would have to happen in your life if it hasn't happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like to you specifically? When you hear that, what does that mean to you? What is success to you or for you?
Wow. All right. I'll go first, and I'll let Corinthian go. Honestly, success for me is going to be measured if I hear say, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." You've been
Mm,
faithful. For my personal life, my dad, and I hope he's listening and he watches this. My dad had a conversation with me back when me and my wife lived in an apartment in Norfolk, and he said, and I told you before that he suffered through mental illness
mhm.
growing up, and my dad said, Arthur, I thought you hated me,
Wow.
and I said, Dad, I love you, man, and Corinthian can attest to this that through all of that, my dad was one of the hardest workers I had seen.
Mhm.
He didn't have all the money. He would say that he's not successful, but he has to look at his labor. He has four educated black children
Mhm.
who have never been in
Mhm.
jail, knock on wood, never been suspended a damn parole, went to college, uh, two with families, uh, two more probably will have families soon. My dad was successful. He was successful in raising a family. So I'm going to measure my success off of if I teach my sons what to do is right, how to serve, how to maneuver through this world, to never be able that they can't do anything. That's how I'm going to measure my success. Of course, I would love to make a lot of money. Of course, fame has a place, but that's not going to determine if I'm successful as Arthur Baylor Kelly. Um, I think the fruits of my labor. will determine my success.
Okay.
So, so I told you my brother is eloquent. So he, so I'll again go back to the verse by their fruit you shall know them. All right, so you can mark a person's success by looking at his fruit, his legacy. So my dad, for example, um, his fruit, his legacy, have cemented his success. My older brothers, Daryl Anderson Kelly Jr. and my elder brother Arthur Baylor Kelly, are successful because if you look at the fruit that they have bared, um, they're successful in their own right, raising a family, being faithful, um, uh, you know, and I've always looked up to them. Really, really have. So um, I measure success for me. Um, if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have said if I have a large bank account or um, or if I have properties and things like that. Now, as I've grown a little bit more, success for me is hearing well done. Um, uh, and I also want to measure it by the impact or the lives that I've touched or the 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 positive words I've sown into the kids that I work with or the encouragement that I've given or the help that I've given the person that needed it in need, the stranger that I pass on the street, that asked for something and I was compelled to help them. That's how I wanna measure my success. Um, it used to be I wanted to be a property owner and have rental properties and stocks and bonds and things like that. But I want my legacy and how I measure success to be by the people that I've impacted.
Okay. That's pretty dope. That is awesome. Those are both awesome answers, and I think these are two of the best that I've heard so far. Um, and again, we have to do our part to not add to the narrative. Like if you if you're an aspiring athlete or entertainer, that's fine too. That's great. That's nothing to be ashamed of or whatever. We're not frowning on that. But I'm saying that the more examples that we have in our community, the
Mm,
more broader our
yeah,
children's minds will be.
yeah,
And so instead of being the actor in front of the camera, I can learn how to use the camera, or I can learn how to write the script, or I can learn how to work the stage or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yep,
Work the sound room. You know what I mean? Because actors come and go, but these types of professions are always in demand. You know what I'm saying? You may not get the fame, but you're in demand. You're
You're
doing
in demand.
something that's profitable and needed. But
hmm Mike,
if
Mike,
I'm
I
okay,
want to even add to it and raise the ceiling. I want folks to realize they can be the director, the producer,
right, right,
own the whole director lot and
right,
stuff like that.
exactly,
Not be just the athlete on the court, be the general manager, be the
right,
Yeah,
coach,
yeah,
be the owner of the team. You see what I'm saying?
exactly,
Be the CFO for the team. So just
yep,
expanding the whole tent. I want to blow the lid off. The sky's the limit.
yep,
exactly. And that's like I said, that's the whole meat of what I do over here at Let's Take a Walk. And I admire kicking it with the Kellys. I'm not going to talk y'all to death.
Oh, you
Because
good, man.
we over
Hey,
the hour, but
it's
you
your show. You can do whatever
It's
you
your
want, man.
show.
know.
You're right. You're right. Look, that's
Um, I don't want y'all to act like the signal's going out, and then all of a sudden y'all start going.
hey, hey, listen. You already know what I can do. I can, hey.
Listen, I admire what you guys do. I always wanted to have a big brother or sister. I I never I have an older sister, but she's my half sister, so we
Mhm.
didn't grow up in the same house or whatever.
Okay.
But I always wanted to have like a older or older brother or younger brother that I could my trouble partner. But I ended up being the big brother. So to see you guys, you know what I mean? Like I think it's dope that you guys stay together, because a lot of times in situations families split, they go here and there. Somebody's in Idaho and somebody's in California and somebody's in Germany and somebody's in Africa. But I think it's dope what you guys do, and the commentary that you have on your show is definitely relevant. It's responsible. It's open. You know what I mean? And I think I watch your show as often as I can, and it inspires me to go forth and do here what I do here. So
Well, you doing your thing too, man.
I appreciate it, and I just wanna send a shout out to you guys and everybody that's associated with Kicking It with the Kellys and Akia. I've known her for through you for a while. Those times
Man,
when we were
we was singing in the background
oh
together,
oh
man.
that yeah oh Dallas friends yes
Oh,
sir yes
Dylan,
sir yes sir
man.
yes sir.
Hey, for those who don't know, Mike can sing. So I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but
No,
Mike can
listen,
really sing.
no, Arthur is the one. Lord, prepare me
No, that you about to
this
get.
sanctuary. Ah! Yes, sir.
Nah,
Heaven and hate.
you had bread of
Yes,
life
sir.
sent
Yeah,
down from
nah.
you. Yeah, there you go. You know what?
Nah, brother.
I
Y'all about
think
to turn this into
Odell
a versus. Y'all about to turn
Yeah,
this
I
into
know,
a
right?
versus.
Odell recorded.
I know, right, Rick? I know. I know.
Odell recorded our rehearsal. I think I still have that CD of you singing that song, man. That's how
Oh
good
my
it was, man.
God. Corinthian, do you know every time I come into contact with Arthur, he tells me that every single time. He says, "Yo, Mike, I got that CD from when we was there, when we was in that
I believe it. I believe it. I believe
I'm a
it.
habitual storyteller.
I
Yeah,
believe it.
he lets
Habitually.
me
Yep.
know. He lets me know that he has it. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so that he's subliminally telling me, "Don't play with me. Don't play with me."
He got it. I got you. I got you. I'll
Because
release the tapes. He said, I'll
right,
release the tapes.
I dropped the tape on you. Okay, don't mess with me. All right.
Man, those were the days. Those were the
Yes,
days.
sir. Yes, sir. But I thank you guys for. Oh, one last thing.
Sure.
If somebody wants to get in touch with Kicking It with the Kellys, if they have questions or issues that they want to discuss, if they want to connect with you in any type of positive way, how can they get in touch with you?
We're actually, working on that right now. I wish I did have our email address for you, but we are on Instagram, kicking it. That's KICKIN it with the Kellys. Kicking
Mhm.
it with the Kellys on Instagram. Obviously, you can follow us on Facebook under my handle Arthur ABK Kelly or Corinthian Kelly, and you can see anything there. Our podcast will be dropping. It will be Kicking It with the Kellys, KICKIN it with the Kellys. And again, it will be on iTunes, Spotify. And all you have to do is go to that iTunes channel and podcast and type in "Kicking It with the Kellys," and it will come up. If you want to send us anything, you can just post a comment on Facebook on our page, or you can send something to arthurbkelly@gmail.com, ARTHURB at gmail.com, arthurbkelly@gmail.com.
Okay. So you guys are gonna be on Spotify and all. Yo, I got to get
Yeah,
with y'all offline. How
yeah.
does that work? But but you know what? I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna wait for that offline. But
Gotcha.
but again, you guys, I just want to thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Um, thank you for being patient with me through the little technical difficulties. Uh, shout out to Cad Brooks. He came on. That's my brother, like my little brother. Like
Okay, okay.
that's my guy. Shout out to him.
Yes, sir.
But I appreciate you guys for coming
Yes,
out.
sir. Yeah,
Yeah, I know you guys could have been doing a bunch of other things, and but you chose to be here with me
yeah,
and with us, I should say.
yeah.
And I appreciate that. And you guys dropped a lot of great knowledge, and I look forward to having you guys on in the near future. And I will be tuning in. One last time, let everybody know when Kicking It with the Kellys is on.
Oh, yes, sir. So we're on Thursday nights, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday nights, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we also have a segment called Impromptu Saturdays. And
Mhm.
whenever we feel like it, we just hop on. So you can catch us on one of those. But every Thursday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, podcast announcement date will be dropping soon. So we will be on podcast.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you again. I shout out. God bless your families and Kicking It with the Kellys. May you get everything
Thank you.
that God has for
Thank you,
you.
man.
I'm
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
definitely a subscriber and a fan. So when I see you, I'm gonna get the autographs and the pictures and all of that.
Hey,
So
we're
Likewise,
gonna
we
have you on the
need
show. We're
yours.
gonna have you on the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
So don't even worry.
yes,
It's gonna be
sir.
reciprocal.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, again,
Well,
I thank you guys, man. You
yeah,
guys are
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But
Well, thank you for letting us take this walk with you, man. We appreciate it.
no
Yeah,
doubt,
man. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely,
I'm a little tired. I
absolutely.
got my stand, man. My steps in.
Okay, okay.
Hey, tell your wife and the kids. I said hello, man. And just keep thing, man.
Absolutely.
Blessings to Let's Talk and everything that you do. I know you're gonna touch millions.
Wow. Wow. I appreciate that. I received that. Thank you
There you go, bro.
very, very much. On that note, man, y'all have a good night and a good
You too, bro.
weekend. And we'll be checking for the show again, Kicking It with the Kellys, Mr. Corinthians. And is it Corinthians with an S or just an N? Okay, it's N, just an
No,
N. No
yeah,
S. No
just the
S.
end,
That's
no
so
S.
funny.
Yep.
Everybody calls them Corinthians.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
He
yeah.
first
I
and
don't even
second
correct. Look,
Corinthians.
I don't even correct it. I don't correct it no more. I know what you meant. I know what you meant.
Right.
It's
It's,
good.
kicking it with the Kellys with Mr. Corinthian and Arthur Kelly. My brothers, my friends, my podcast family. God bless y'all, man, and y'all keep doing what y'all doing. It's
Likewise.
definitely reaching. It's definitely connecting. I can tell by everybody that logs in and comments and stuff, and I'll be racing trying to get my little comments in before everybody else do. But you keep doing what you're doing, man, because
Yes,
you are
sir.
definitely making headway.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So God bless y'all, man, and good night, man. God bless your families. Tell everybody we said hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So there you have it. Another great episode of Let's Take a Walk. Mr. Corinthian and Arthur Kelly. They have a podcast called Kicking It with the Kellys. Tune in to them. Check them out on Thursday nights, 8 o'clock. Um, they have a lot of hard hitting content, a lot of things that make you think, make you go, make your mind go, hmm. Um, and there you have it, man. We're just trying to work hard to change the narrative and broaden people's minds through, um, talking to people who are doing things that are outside the norm, that are impacting community and impacting culture and all of that. Um, it's an awesome thing. So, I always find it, these interviews, I always find them interesting. And I always grow, I always learn something, and that's what it's all about. So, with that being said, I will see you guys on next Friday. Let me see. Next Friday is the 12th. So, yeah, I will see you guys on next Friday. So, tune in and we'll have another awesome, great guest on, and we're gonna take a walk and chop it up. Don't forget to tune in, man. Y'all have a good night. Let's take a walk.